Hi, Misha. I
Hey,
just added you to the chat because I was like, what's her name? What's her name? I gotta find it, gotta find it. And then I seen that you tried to join a little early. I'm like, that's it. Let me go get her in there. I can't hear
Thank
nothing right now.
you.
Just give me a second. It's connected to one of my headphones, the wrong ones. I'm a hot mess.
Yeah,
There
but
we
you're
go.
beautiful to
I
look
hope I
at.
don't get paint or see this on my
oh
hands.
boy,
I
what
don't
happened?
know where this keeps getting on my hands from, but I think it might be on my headphones. All right, I need to turn on my headphones. Not these ones. These ones. Good. All right. Can someone say something so I can see if I hear you?
You got it?
Yeah. Ha-ha.
I hear you.
Good.
How are you guys doing
Maybe if I
tonight?
get close enough, you can hear my cat purr.
It gets close enough, you're gonna hear me purr. No.
Anytime I get a massage, or you're like I'm scrubbing my hair, my head, get my hair done, I'm like, yeah, I'll always make a comment about, aren't you glad I hadn't figured out how to purr? Because it probably would freak out a few people.
I would probably laugh and join you. Trying to find what the heck. So I was playing with my computer earlier and like my screen is all like neon colors and stuff, and I need to figure out how to change that back.
Ugh.
Hmm.
Not a fan of it. That's what I do when I'm bored, and then I take a nap and I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Oh, I did use that meditation you sent me after work today.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Well, I crawled into bed before I turned it on.
Oh wow. So you were
Yeah.
you were that tired, huh?
Yeah, I was still catching up. So
Yeah, like when I found it, like the tones, it just works for me. And when it's like when you have short period of time and then you actually feel fully rested though.
had it not been 4 o'clock, I probably would have. Well, no, I can't do that long of a nap during a work day. Wish I could.
What's your work schedule, like the day? How long, like what hours?
Oh, I like 7:30 to 4.
Ugh. Ooh, 3 people in the
But
living room. All right.
that's pretty much my choice to do that schedule, though, since I work from home.
Oh, okay, okay.
That way, it's like I wake up, I'm walking around. What the hell? I might as well log in and get the day over with. Do you have your coffee, Robert?
Yeah, I just finished drinking it a couple minutes ago. Thanks.
Because we
It's
won't be able to
really
poke you if you fall asleep.
No, I definitely want to stay awake for this. I enjoy all of these.
Here, sister.
So
I
you
enjoyed
did
how
have,
we did the session part last week. I think I liked that better than the recording.
I like reading too. I wouldn't mind doing that. In school, whenever they made us read in like elementary school, I always got the shortest paragraphs and I wanted to read the most.
He's like, they wouldn't call on me. They just wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah,
Don't
But
mind me, guys.
people
I'm
are-
trying to fix this color thing. I don't know what the heck I did.
yeah, they're having trouble getting in.
Who's having trouble getting in? They're all,
Jerry,
Cherie,
Huh?
Andre.
then they hit the wrong link. Hold on. Invite, copy link. Oh crap, I gotta open it up. Okay. I'm a hot mess.
Andre doesn't
I told
work
them to
right.
use the one that you put because yours was right. I actually accidentally sent them the one to my personal meeting.
But I guess you can't manually enter the numbers in, I guess.
yeah,
you need
you
to
can,
actually-
you can.
You can.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I log into Zoom, so Zoom actually saves the information, and I don't have to go hunt
have-
it down.
You have to have the app on your phone.
I just went to the one on Facebook that we normally go to.
Yeah, Sherry has to do it on her phone.
She can go and hit that link. We're making it so difficult. That one works. It's the same one as every time. It doesn't change.
Mhm.
Except unless you're an asshole who puts in there the wrong. I'm like, where is everybody? Oh yeah, that's the wrong one. No, that's not the one, Cherie. Stop sending that one.
I'll wrong one.
I just put it on there. Hit the one that I'm sending. Come on, computer.
Use Roberts.
yeah, that's the right one, Cherie. Arg.
I go, "Arr." I'm gonna hit it again, watch. See, but that's my fault because I did set the wrong one. What do you mean you edited it? Oh, so should I just give her the meeting number?
Yeah.
All right. 852
This meeting is brought to you by the goddess of fuckery.
892. Hold on, stop typing, everybody. 8929176 because it's moving off my screen. Try that. Make sure that's right. 852-689-2910. Oh. I know. You know, breaking shit. All right. Oh, here they are. I made them all.
Yay.
See if we get them all in. That was my bad, everybody. I'm sorry. Of course, I would be the one to send in the wrong one.
Okay.
How do I change this? Trevor, admin.
I did actually copy the wrong link and then I edited the right number in there. And for some reason, when I hit send, it went back to the other number. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you know, this is on me because that I even did that. I'm like, what an idiot. I'm like, why is nobody here though? Because I know someone else probably a little early, like, and then I'm like,
Hold on.
oh, where's the little one coming from? That's so cute. All right, guys. So how was everybody's day or week?
Good until now. Getting in here was a nightmare.
You know what? It was a nightmare for me too. It may have been my fault, but it was a nightmare for me too. Okay,
It's
so
too easy for
did you
me.
guys prefer the reading or the
Was it a
play?
nightmare or just a slightly disturbing dream?
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm gonna minimize.
yeah. So do you guys want to read it or listen to it?
you guys.
Oh yes, it's Benny's birthday. So everybody tell him happy birthday.
What did
Happy
you give me for your
birthday.
birthday, Benny?
I don't want to sing.
Happy
I
birthday,
I
Happy
think
birthday.
We're all good singers.
My microphone was off. Okay. I just realized.
Hello.
So did you want to read?
Sure,
did you
I'm
want
okay
us-
with reading, but yeah, it depends on other people because I mean I'm the
I mean,
have to say,
I
you
liked
both
the
had
back and forth that we
characters
did last
working
week.
great last week.
What? I didn't hear that. What did someone say?
Ed's. Go ahead.
I just said that you guys had great character last week. I was really like loving hearing it. You had the dynamic working. It was like I really liked
Yeah.
it. Like I'm just saying,
Animated.
if you did want to read it, I'd actually preferred hearing you guys than the AI. But
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
That's two votes now.
Okay.
For the record,
I like it
or-
too. I like them reading it.
For the record, that's
Okay,
we can't
cool.
hear you.
Can't hear you, Des. You froze.
Yeah.
Now you're good.
breaking shit.
Oh,
How's
there.
that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There's a storm going on outside right now too. Okay, but I do want to put it up on the screen because I know that not everybody's stuff has the same,
Mhm.
as what Becca last time, she didn't have the same, she wasn't able to follow along. So what do you want to read off of? Or are you gonna read which one so I can pull it up on there? at least?
Law of one. Is it
That
seven?
one, right?
Session 76.
Yeah, it is
This is-
76, but
Okay.
that's what I have too. Okay,
Okay.
This is the one I read from last week.
Okay.
okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it,
open
it
up.
should be the same as the law of
It
one.
was, but she
Oh,
didn't
no,
have the
we-
same stuff in her book is what I'm saying. So like
Yeah,
people
because
are
she's
following.
got the old version. Yeah. Mhm.
Right, that's the unauthorized LNL version now.
Well, that's their earlier
We don't-
authorized version before with misprints.
Right.
Hmm. Open sesame. All right, well, you want to do our meditation?
Right. Okay.
Well, thank you, Andre. I appreciate you being all about it. Everybody else didn't sound too enthused. They weren't all enthused about it. Song. I have no idea where you guys are right now. Like, I cannot find you on my screen. No idea. Marco.
It's one of the Zoom windows.
Oh, thank you, Captain Obvious. No, I'm pulling up the
87
music
tabs
right
open.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the music part and pulling up something to listen to. Somewhere's in these million songs that I have. Jeez Louise. Where did it go? You know what? Of course, it's going to be one of those days, guys. Yay, I'm excited.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Why don't you just do us a guided meditation?
Because I found the music.
I
You
know how
like
it
that?
works.
Yeah.
Divine
I'm slick
timing.
with it.
Mhm.
Yes, it was. All right. I do need to do this though. Share screen. Yes. Your audio. Share. All right, if you guys would mute yourselves. I mute me, but I don't know where the hell it is on my screen. It's gone. Weird. Okay.
Sharing
Let's
computer
see.
sound.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm just saying it seems to be, but I just
haven't
don't hear
played it.
anything.
Because
I
I
don't-
haven't played it. Andre, patience, my
Oh,
friend.
okay.
Patience. Young grasshopper. We'll do radiating unconditional love.
Right.
Radiating unconditional love. Become aware of an area around your heart. An area in your aura called your heart center. It is like a many petaled flower. It has a beautiful jewel in the middle. Feel yourself growing calmer and more relaxed. As you think of and put your awareness on your heart center, imagine that your soul is joining you just by thinking of it. You need not sense or feel it in any way for your soul to be with you. Close your eyes for a moment and sense this jewel in your heart center. It sends out a beautiful note of love, a beacon of love. Feel the light of love growing more beautiful all around you. A radiant, magnetic, unconditional love. Love radiating outward from you that needs nothing in return. A love that you give generously to all life. Let someone come into your mind who could use this love. Imagine that you can sense the heart center of this other person. Imagine a line of light going from your heart center to the other person's heart center. Your soul is with you. You are radiating love to this person. sense this energy of love going out from you and the other person receiving it. If there is a message you would like to send to this person, something such as, "I offer you my unconditional love," send this message right now. Feel the love growing within you. For all the love you give comes back to you multiplied. And bring your awareness back to yourself now. And feel the new awakening in your heart center as you do.
Every time, leave it to me. I said, I don't know about you guys, but I literally felt that everywhere. And then at the end, it just went right up my face. All right, Fred's trying to get in. So who are the readers today? Are you guys going to alternate? Can we get some accents?
Do you want to? Well, I volunteered to do the same, but if someone else wants to, I'm open to letting them.
Robert loves reading.
Okay.
Yeah,
He looks all stoic over there too.
All right. Robert,
Can I-
you want to do the same format?
I would enjoy that, yes.
Okay, all right.
Can I share something that happened to me? It was a week ago yesterday. I was coming out of the grocery store, loading my groceries into the back of my car, and I took my shopping cart to the front of my car and put it to the left of me between two parked cars. When this angry man came out of his car and he was enraged that I had done that, and he was cussing at me and everything, and my instinct was to get in the car, lock the door, go. But I decided to practice this unconditional love. And so I just bowed to him and I said, "I'm sorry, please forgive me." And he stopped coming at me and he went around, looked at the buggy, and he said, "Okay, you're good." And then I bowed again and I said, "Would you be so kind as to take it in the store for me?" And he goes, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
Oh,
It's amazing how powerful love is.
it is. It
It
is.
blew
Thank
me
you.
away. Thank you.
All right. So, Law of One, Session 76, February 3rd, 1982. 760. Ra, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now.
Could you first please give me an indication of the condition of the instrument?
I am Ra. This instrument is in a state of physical complex bankruptcy, which has existed for some of the measure you call time. The vital energies are normal with a strong spiritual complex counterpart and will lending substance to the mind-body-spirit complex energy levels.
Will our continued communication with Ra be deleterious to the physical energies of the instrument?
I am Ra. We may answer in two modes. Firstly, if the instrument were thusly dedicated to the use with no transfer of energy of physical complex nature, it would begin to call upon the vital energy itself, and this, done in any substantive measure, is actively deleterious to a mind-body-spirit complex, if that complex wishes further experience in the illusion which it now distorts. Secondly, if care is taken, Firstly, to monitor the outer parameters of the instrument, then to transfer physical energy by sexual transfer, by magical protection, and lastly, by the energetic displacements of thought forms energizing the instrument during contact, there is no difficulty in that there is no worsening of the instrument's mind-body-spirit complex distortions of strength-weakness. It is to be noted that the instrument, by dedicating itself to this service, attracts greetings of which you are aware. These are inconvenient, but with care taken, need not be lastingly deleterious either to the instrument or the contact.
Of the three things you
Robert,
mentioned,
honey, is there any way that you could come closer? It's really low.
okay,
Well, Fred couldn't hear you, and I'm like, it is low on me too. I don't know if it's just me, but oh wait, hold on. Maybe this will work.
maybe turning up your volume.
Yeah, Fred, turn up your volume. Continue. Go on. I
Okay.
was just
Of the three things you mentioned that we could do for the instrument's benefit, would you clarify the last one? I didn't quite understand that.
I am Ra. As the entity which you are allows its being to empathize with another being, so then it may choose to share with the other self those energies which may be salubrious to the other self. The mechanism of these energy transfers is the thought, or more precisely, the thought form, for any thought is a form or symbol or thing that is an object seen in time-space reference. Does anyone know what salubrious means?
It's like, isn't that like celebratory? It feels good.
Salubrious. Prompting healthful, a healthy diet. Okay.
Had a gist of it. Has our use of the banishing ritual of the lesser pentagram been of any value, and what is its effect?
I am Ra. This group's use of the banishing ritual of the lesser pentagram has been increasingly efficacious. Its effect is purification, cleansing, and protection of the place of working. The efficacy of this ritual is only beginning to be, shall we say, at the lower limits of the truly magical. In doing the working, those aspiring to adepthood have done the equivalent of beginning the schoolwork, many grades ahead. For the intelligent student, this is not to be discouraged, rather to be encouraged is the homework. The reading, the writing, the arithmetic, as you might metaphorically call the elementary steps towards the study of being. It is the being that informs the working, not the working that informs the being. Therefore, we may leave you to the work you have begun.
Would it be beneficial for us to perform the banishing ritual more in this room?
I am Ra. It is beneficial to regularly work in this place.
Sorry we have had such a long delay between the last session and this one. It couldn't be helped, I guess. Could you please tell me the origin of the tarot?
I am Ra. The origin of this system of study and divination is twofold. Firstly, there is that influence which, coming in a distorted fashion from those who were priests attempting to teach the law of one in Egypt, gave form to the understanding, if you will pardon the misnomer, which they had received. These forms were then made a regular portion of the learned teaching of an initiate. The second influence is that of those entities in the lands you call Ur, Chaldea, and Mesopotamia, who from old had received the, shall we say, data for which they called having to do with the heavens. Thusly, we find two methods of divination being melded into one with uneven results, the, as you call it, astrology, and the form being combined to suggest that you might call the correspondences which are typical of the distortions you may see as attempts to view archetypes.
Then am I correct in assuming that the priests in Egypt, in attempting to convert knowledge that they had received initially from Ra into understandable symbology, constructed and initiated the concept of the tarot. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is correct with the addition of the Sumerian influence.
Were Ra's teachings focusing on the archetypes for this logos and the methods of achieving a very close approach to the archetypical configuration? Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is correct without being true. We of Ra are humble messengers of the law of one. We seek to learn this single law. During the space-time of the Egyptian learning, we work to bring the mind complex, the body complex, and the spirit complex into an initiated state in which the entity could contact intelligent energy and so become learner itself, that healing and the fruits study could be offered to all. The study of the roots of mind is a portion of the vivification of the mind complex, and as we have noted, the thorough study of the portion of the roots of mind called archetypical is an interesting and necessary portion of the process as a whole.
Is there, in Ra's opinion, any present-day value for the reuse of the tarot as an aid in the evolutionary process?
I am Ra. We shall repeat information. It is appropriate to study one form of constructed and organized distortions of the archetypical mind in depth in order to arrive at the position of being able to become and to experience archetypes at will. You have 3 basic choices. You may choose astrology, the 12 signs, as you call these portions of your planet's energy web, and what has been called the 10 planets. You may choose the tarot with its 22 so-called major arcana. You may choose the study of the so-called tree of life with its 10 Sephiroth and 22 relationships between the stations. It is well to investigate each discipline, not as a dilettante, but as one who seeks the touchstone, one who wishes to feel the pull of the magnet. One of these studies will be more attractive to the seeker. Let the seeker then investigate the archetypical mind using basically one of these 3 disciplines. After a period of study, the discipline mastered sufficiently, the seeker may then complete the more important step, that is, the moving beyond the written in order to express in a unique fashion its understanding, if you may again pardon the noun, of the archetypical mind.
Would I be correct in saying that our local logos, in acting as co-creator, distorted to some extent for the purposes of experience that which we experience here? And that the archetypes of this particular logos are somewhat unique with respect to the rest of the creation, but are, of course, related to the all in that they are part of it, but are, I can only say, a unique part. And that the system of study that we have just talked about would not translate quickly or easily in other parts of the creation. This is a very difficult question to state. Could you clear that up for me?
I am Ra. We may draw from the welter of statement which you offer the question we believe you ask. Please re-question if we have mistaken your query. The archetypical mind is that mind which is peculiar to the logos, under which influence you are at this space-time distorting your experiences. There is no other logos, the archetypical mind of which would be the same any more than the stars would appear the same from another planet in another galaxy. You may correctly infer that the closer logoi are indeed closer in archetypes.
Then, since Ra evolved initially on Venus, Ra is of the same archetypical origin as that which we experience here. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is correct.
But I am assuming that the concepts of the tarot and the magical concepts of the tree of life, etc., were not in use by Ra. I suspect possibly some form of astrology was a previous Ra concept. This is just a guess. Am I correct?
I am Ra. To express Ra's methods of study of the archetypical mind under the system of distortions which we enjoyed would be to skew your own judgment of that which is appropriate for the system of distortions forming the conditions in which you learn teach. Therefore, we must invoke the law of confusion.
I'm going to ask some questions now that may be a little off center of what we're trying to do. I'm not sure because I'm trying to, with these questions, unscramble something that I consider to be very basic to what we are doing. Please forgive my lack of ability in questioning since this is a difficult concept for me. Could you give me an idea of the length of the first and second density that occurred for this planet?
I am Ra. There is no method of estimation of the time space before timelessness gave way in your first density to the beginnings of your time. The measurement would be vast, and yet this vastness is meaningless. Upon the entry into the constructed space-time, your first density spanned a bridge of space-time and time-space of perhaps 2 billion of your years. Second density is more easily estimated and represents your longest density in terms of the span of space-time. We may estimate that time as approximately 4.6 billion years. These approximations are exceedingly rough due to the somewhat uneven development which is characteristic of creations which are built upon the foundation stone of free will.
Did you state that second density was 4.6 billion? BIL. Is that correct?
I am Ra. This is correct.
Then we have a third density that is, comparatively speaking, the twinkling of an eye, the snap of a finger in time compared to the others. Why does the third density cycle so extremely rapidly? Why does the third density cycle so extremely rapidly compared to first and second?
I am Ra. The third density is a choice.
Third density, then, it appears, is, compared to the rest of the densities, all of them, nothing but a uniquely short period of what we consider to be time, and is then for the purpose of this choice. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is precisely correct. The prelude to choice must encompass the laying of the foundation, the establishment of the illusion, and the viability of that which can be made spiritually viable. The remainder of the densities is continuous refining of the choice. This also is greatly lengthened, as you would use the term. The choice is, as you put it, the work of a moment, but it is the axis upon which creation churns.
Is this third density choice the same throughout all of the creation of which you are aware?
I am Ra. We are aware of creations in which third density is lengthier and more space-time is given to the choosing. However, the proportions remain the same, the dimensions all being somewhat etiolated and weakened by the logos to have a variant experience of the creator. This creation is seen by us to be quite vivid.
I didn't understand what you meant by seem to you as being quite vivid. What do you mean?
I am Ra. This creation is somewhat more condensed by its logos than some other logo I have chosen. Thus, each experience of the creator by the creator in this system of distortions is, relatively speaking, more bright, or as we say, vivid.
I am assuming that on entering into third density for this planet, disease did not exist in any form. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is incorrect.
What was the form of disease and why did this exist at beginning third density?
I am Ra. Firstly, that which you speak of as disease is a functional portion of the body complex, which offers the body complex the opportunity to cease viability. This is a desirable body complex function. The second portion of the answer has to do with second density other selves of a microscopic, as you would call it, size, which have in some forms long existed and perform their service by aiding the physical body complex in its function of ceasing viability at the appropriate space-time.
What I am trying to understand is the difference between the plan of the logos for these second density entities and the generation of what I would guess to be a more or less runaway array of feedback to create various physical problems that act as catalysts in our present third density condition. Could you give me an indication of that, of whether my thinking is anywhere near right on that?
I am Ra. This instrument's physical body complex is becoming more distorted towards pain. We shall therefore speak to this subject as our last full query of this working. Your query contains some internal confusion which causes the answer to be perhaps more general than desires. We invite refinements of this query. The logos planned for entities of mind-body-spirit complex to gain experience until the amount of experience was sufficient for an incarnation. This varied only slightly from second density entities whose mind-body complexes existed for the purpose of experiencing growth and seeking consciousness. As the third density upon your planet proceeded, as has been discussed, the need for the physical body complex to cease become more rapidly approached due to intensified and more rapidly gained catalyst. This catalyst was not being properly assimilated. Therefore, the, shall we say, lifetimes needed to be shorter that learning might continue to occur with the proper rhythm and increment. Thus, more and more opportunities have been offered as your density has progressed for disease. May we ask if there are any further brief queries before we close?
I had one that is totally, possibly of no value. You don't have to expand on it, but there is a crystal skull in the possession of a woman near Toronto that may be of some value in investigating these communications with Ra, since I think, possibly, this had some origin from Ra. Can you tell me anything about that? And then, finally, is there anything that we could do to improve the contact or to make the instrument more comfortable?
I am Ra. Although your query is one which uncovers interesting material, we cannot answer due to the potential an answer may have for affecting your actions. The appurtenances are carefully placed and requisite care taken. We are appreciative. All is well. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, glorifying and rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite creator, Adonai. All right. So greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Let us activate our hearts with kindness and love for each other as we discuss this material and any other related topics with an open heart. Thank you. So does anyone have any questions related to the material or want to bring something up? Raise your hand or unmute and start talking. Okay, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is everything that I know as part of my existence right now and everything that I do with my life about disease being the process in which we have to learn new things due to the fact that we don't consciously practice opening up to this sort of stuff traditionally in our culture. So to see that type of thing confirmed and then articulated in such fine form is absolutely reassuring, especially with all these new sciences and things coming out nowadays, you know. So what a big subject.
Desiree, I think you're muted again. I don't know. We can't hear you. I'm sorry. But but yeah, I agree. I found it very interesting when I found out that the lives are shorter due to people not processing Catalyst quickly enough. And so by analogy, if you learn how to process Catalyst well and effectively, then you can live a very long life, up to 900 years.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't know why it went to my phone. It was weird.
Right. Anyone else want to chip in on something?
So you feel that the message conveyed there was that in a single given incarnation, if we learn to properly harness that catalyst, it can result in a longer lifespan, even despite the fact that the changes that have occurred as far as how we interact with second density have kind of snowballed into being all around us.
I'm jumping in on this one because I brought the subject up because, yeah, I love it. But yeah, the entire field of psychoneuroimmunology is all about how the entire system coordinates its relationship with external environmental response stimuli. And so this is kind of like the thing that we're talking about when we talk about catalysts, is how the environment affects us and how we let the environment affect us in various ways, and whether we accept these things, whether we fight against them. And I can tell you that when you want a real world example of that, if you think about how we approach life on a daily basis, how we feel about ourselves, or what sort of general mood we carry, these things literally change the entire genetic expression of our being, thus the genetic structure, the expression of biological function, immune function, mental function, emotional function, all of these intelligence-based systems, the ability to critically think or not, all of these things are dependent upon how we respond to the external stimuli in our environment. Most people don't know about this and aren't aware of it, so it's traditionally fired off automatically through our subconscious. These are the lessons that we pick up from our teachers, our parents, our society, TV, and all these other places, and then these run on auto fire. It's our job to bring our awareness back into ourselves long enough to then review everything that we've learned growing up, thus picking up the bricks and all of the pieces that construct our reality, and then reconstructing our reality very deliberately with our consensus on the things that we agree with. Yes, this is a good lesson that my mother taught me, or no, this actually doesn't serve me very well. I'm going to modify that a little bit with love, of course. And so at that point, what happens is the biological growth hormones, the ability to heal, the ability to have an immune response that is actually appropriate, the ability to regulate your own electromagnetic fields, which is a huge subject nowadays with all of the electro smog in all of our cities and technology. All of these things destabilize the cell in how it is then able to reproduce through the copy and repeat mechanism that is our DNA and genetic expression. So by having the ability to process our catalysts effectively externally, we absolutely, in a way that we have never before in humanity, like in recorded history, humanity, I mean, ever had the ability to really bring this awareness and see what this sort of thing does in our biology and how it affects human life. And I'm that confident of it. I'm seeing that much evidence of it, not only in my work that I do, but scientific evidence out there that I do trust based on how it's built up, that I'm out there publicly saying, I expect to live for 900 years. I'm going to make that biological expression a very real reality for me. The only way that's not going to happen is if somehow I'm completely ignorant of a gigantic catalyst and I subconsciously cause an accident in my life to terminate myself very quickly. But if I have a say, if we're talking about health, nutrition, mental awareness, health, emotional health, all of these things, I will do everything I can to make sure that I can be the best that I can be for those around me as my show of love for my reality. Excuse the background.
They're just
All
trying to participate with you.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to add that that there are historical examples of people that have lived centuries, even within the last
Mhm.
millennia or whatever. Okay, Susanna.
Yes, Trevor, I'm behind you. I also have a goal. I'm going to go beyond 100. And in my genetics and my family, women do live. My grandmother died past 100, and her sisters are reaching that mark as well. So I want to say as well that I have the experience of many illnesses and diseases that were supposed to be permanent. And I always, well, as of late, I've realized how illnesses and diseases are an opportunity to evolve. And you don't just evolve at a physical level, cellular level, but also into your inner self, into your own personal growth. And obviously, we know that any disease and illnesses are symptoms, just pure symptoms. So this is, I know that it can be very controversial when you say, well, how can cancer is evolving? It makes us, yes. And there are some very devastating diagnoses that are not fun to get. But I strongly believe we have a very beautiful technology that goes beyond what we can even think, what we can even believe. And I'm saying it, and I got the chills. And I want to run and have fun with it. That's it.
God, I love you.
Fred? Oh, I don't know. Or you? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this tells me that the people that I've known in my life that have lived to 100 and almost 100, like my great grandfather, a friend of mine's grandpa, he lived to 102. My mom's mother, she lived to 96. Every one of those people that I knew, I personally knew them. They have been so at peace, just the calmest, most loving and accepting people that I remember in my childhood were those people. And they were, I remember another guy, my mother-in-law's grandfather, he was 90, I can't remember how old he was, but he was in World War II. He was in 3 different wars. The guy was just, he was so at peace. Would that explain the longevity? Just because I don't know if it's working through more catalyst, but maybe it's just being like, okay, catalyst, yeah, bring it on, whatever it is, I have to deal with it anyway, so might as well show it to me and let me deal with it. And just not really caring. It kind of the mindset of if you're in control of it, don't worry about it because you're in control of it. And if you're not in control of it, don't worry about it because you don't have control of it. So basically, don't worry about it. It's kind of that mindset. Is that more correct?
Well, that comes and brings also the aspect of acceptance that we talked about last week.
Okay. That just seems like basically boiled down, that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, well, I know, like, my succinct summary is that for processing catalyst, you're either processing it with fear and anger if it's on the service to self path, fear, anger, control, or with forgiveness, love, and acceptance if on the service to others path, or in some kind of neutral way if you don't decide. And if you don't process the catalyst, that's what leads to death, or premature death. So you have to choose basically one of those directions, the polarizing, in order for your life to continue and then have more catalyst. And your soul will continue using the body so long as it's growing spiritually. And once the spiritual growth stops, then it no longer needs the vehicle and it finds a way to exit. Okay, Mitch.
Forgive me in advance. I have a ton of different thoughts running together. So if this is a rambling mess, I'm sorry. So we take this concept of catalyst, right? And catalyst, I would imagine, evolves with a social memory complex. And we've certainly evolved quite a bit over the last, I would assume, 75,000 year cycle. So we take that, we take the nature of cascade effects, we take the nature of phase transitions and complex webs that we see all around us. And I have to wonder that if at some point, given how tied together we all are becoming, especially approaching harvest and really kind of unifying back the way that has been the goal of this entire existence to some degree, is it really possible for us to stand alone as an island and say, well, no, I'm going to process this catalyst. And because I'm going to process this catalyst, unlike anybody else is going to process this catalyst, I'm going to have my 500, my 900 years here. Meanwhile, everyone around me is going to fall. I feel like there's, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to challenge anybody's beliefs or anything like that, but for the sake of conversation, I feel like there's a big disconnect here between we're all coming together and we're all one versus if I just do things the right way, I can stand above this system that we have all created together and excel well past outside of the limits that we have all set, being the creator ourselves. If thousands of years ago, we weren't capable of processing this catalyst, when I would assume the effects of the veil were probably a lot lighter. There was probably a lot less confusion. Is it not to some degree just kind of out there to think that because we have these beliefs now, we can kind of figure out a way of navigating ourselves through it? And I'm sorry, one more quick thing, and then I swear I'm going to let you guys talk. I have to question the goalpost of the lengthened incarnation in the first place. If we're here to learn our lessons, if we're here to make that choice, and we can do so in 30 years, 45 years, 50 years, are we doing ourselves any favor by saying, no, I love this illusion, I'm going to cling on to it with everything that I have because it's beautiful? That to me is part of the whole reason we have the veil and the law of confusion and all this stuff, to allow us to get lost, dance in the illusion that we have and find the beauty and all of it. Done. Promise.
All right. Well, thank you, Mitch. Wonderful, great points. Yeah, you're totally correct that it's not really a goal to extend life, but merely that it's a possibility. And you're totally right that we're not here to try to have the longest life possible, but rather to what do you call it? To make the choice and then to end strong, like with an open heart, for the service to others path. And in terms of what you were saying, in terms of other people, so a wonderful example is Peng Zhu. Peng Zhu was ancient Chinese mystic dude, and he lived to be over 800 years. However, all the people around him were leading regular lives and only living 30 or 40 years. And so Peng Zhu ended up having like 30 wives. So when he was like interviewed near the end of his life, he was like, oh, well, it's kind of sad because I've had to bury all of my, like so many of my wives and so many of my children because I lived so much longer than all of them. But all of his life, he was living a life of service, living a life of serving others and helping these women and helping these children. And so, he wasn't like living above them, but, he was living a life of service and kindness. Okay. Ed?
Hello. Yay. Hello. Can you see me?
Yes,
hello.
yes, we can hear you.
Great. Okay, so a few bits. Actually, I kind of agree with everyone, like on the whole thing. Right. First bit, I think in the channeling, he said something about how death is actually like a really good thing that we've got, and like if your soul's eternal and you can you're gonna live for billions and billions of years, then having the option to kind of jump in and out of reality and creation is a good thing, and it helps us to kind of get, when we die, we jump in as a new person with different catalysts, with different like drives, with different contracts to learn more and grow in a different way, right? So reincarnation is actually a good thing. It's dying's an opportunity to learn different lessons, and as we are as what we are, we're only ever going to learn the lessons this body and this this mind is ever going to want to learn, so yeah, but wait a sec, also has anyone seen that TV show Foundation? No. It's on like ITV or something. Anyway, in that, it's got like this guy that lives forever and he's immortal and that, and they basically just keep getting clones and updating his consciousness, so like he never dies, and so it's the same guy ruling the empire, and all the people are like, well, how can you're not spiritually evolving? How can you be our king? We're all going through new lives and evolving more and more and more, and you're just alive the whole time and you never grow at all. Like you're just that. Anyway, back to what Trevor was saying, which is super, super interesting, and about the whole kind of how your thoughts and everything interacts with the body to keep yourself alive. Because like most ancient texts you look at, if you really look way back, like all the Sumerian stuff, like, loads of different kind of, it's that they've all got ways of saying you can live for as long as you want. Essentially, you just have to kind of like do these certain things to essentially extend your life to the point that you want to die, and that can be anything, like Trevor said, you could think something randomly at some point, and then that right there gives the signal that, and it might be a random thing, but that's what leads to it. The higher self kind of picks the time when you go, and like Ra was saying, the opportunity to go and be reborn is a good thing. So like live the life that you have here for as long as you want, and like Trevor was saying, a lot of that comes down to thought, right? And when you're talking about actual kind of experimental data, there's loads of stuff that shows that meditation reactivates telomerases, which they repair the DNA at the little bits at the end of the DNA, which is one of the things that stops starts cellular senescence and essentially aging. Like all of your bodies, the cells get to a specific time, a specific point. Those telomeres get munched away, and that's it. They stay there. They just age. Yeah. Now, there's lots of evidence that just by meditating and essentially kind of like channeling healing energies through your whatever, you can reactivate the enzyme that makes those telomeres. At which point, that cell basically goes back to being able to live for another 20 years, producing a whole new body's worth of cells if it needs to. But without that, then you end up with it all. Then the body ages. It slows down. Everything stops. So this is the point. By doing certain things to essentially activate your body, which like we've discussed before, the whole orchestrated reality, quantum neuroscience principle that works on the fact that your microtubules have a vibration that goes up and down them. And in the physical world, that's the bridge, that's the interaction, that telomere, that microtubule. But the vibration that goes up and down it outwardly, that's the consciousness. Yeah, it's not made of physical things. It's made of those overlapping wavelengths. Now, if you think about, we also know that DNA reacts perfectly to specific wavelengths, to specific vibrations. So by thinking something, you can actually get the part of your neurons to pass a vibration down a microtubule that in theory could then activate specific parts of DNA, right? Like actual scientific step-by-step evidence of how we think thinking works now, at doing exactly what we think would activate DNA activation without using chemicals anyway. So the whole steps of every single part of it, it's all coming together. We're all getting the science together of how your thoughts influence your body, how you can actually direct your immune system to do specific things, how you can get your body to repair things, how the placebo effect works. There's no scientific evidence for how the placebo effect works without something like this. So anyway, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of other things, are related to that. We could talk all night about that if you wanted, because it's one of my favorite things to talk about ever. But what was the other thing? Oh, there's something else I was going to say. Oh God, there's so much. Anyway, love you guys. I'm going to mute myself and be embarrassed about how much I've talked. Love you all.
It's okay, Ed. It was great information. Thanks. So Desiree, did you want to say something or no? Okay. All right. I know Fred was trying to say something. And Amanda? No. Okay.
I'll go.
Okay, go
So,
ahead, Amanda.
with you talking about Andre, the catalyst, and my great grandparents lived 100 and some years too, and they're from Russia, and they did all this killing the chickens the day of, drinking, and they lived that long. But with the catalyst, what you're talking about, how you every day react to things, I think if you're a little bit on the calmer, your stress levels down, so all the cortisol doesn't get thrown all out there. And, of course, eating right, drinking a lot of water, doing all that helps too. But I think that like every day, if you're under all this stress every single day, your body breaks down. So, and if you go the opposite way, I mean, you feel better. I know I've been at both ends spectrum. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, like I remember Oxal was saying that the perception or the experience of time is related to how much unprocessed catalyst we have. So whenever we have a piece of unprocessed catalyst, then what happens is that it gets queued into a future thing that we have to re-experience to in an attempt to process the catalyst. And if we have a large amount of unprocessed catalyst, then we have like this constant barrage of unresolved problems, and that becomes very stressful. So if you learn how to properly process the catalyst, then they stop repeating themselves. And then if you get really, really good at it, then you can be in a point of stillness where you, they say you are finally actually experiencing the creation it is meant to be, because you have processed all the catalyst, and now kind of creation revolves around you. Well, I'll try to dig up the quote, but it was very beautiful, and it reminded me from what you were saying. Michelle Hogan, and then Ed. Okay.
What she was saying about stress, the one thing I've kind of focused on lately is, especially with some of the people that I work with being highly anxious, it's like I want to look at them and go, do you realize you are teaching your brain to have a chemical addiction without using a drug? Because the anxiety creates that chemical for you, and your brain is like, I like this state, let's do this again. And you're like, I don't like that state, but too bad, you taught it to do this. I mean, I've kind of had to work through it myself. So.
Okay. Robert, or Ed, or
Ed's saying no.
Get it together, Andre.
Yeah. Ed was working on getting rid of that hand. Yeah, what Michelle just said sparked something in me that I remember I wanted to bring up tonight. How our developing love within this reading of the loved one and working together as a group, and these growing friendships we have here, it's also releasing oxytocin. I'm feeling it. I've been feeling it on my days off from you guys too. So we're having a chemical rush also. It's like an addiction of sorts, but it's a really good one. And creator, I've read this in a few places where there's some beliefs that creator has a constant orgasm. It's just, that's what life really is. It's that feeling of the constant enjoyment of itself. So this oxytocin that we're able to experience it's like this wonderful beginning of that social memory complex of just the interaction of love with love as it multiplies and increases. And it's great. I'm really enjoying this feeling. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's great. And it's true that they say that the higher densities are like a steady state of orgasm from our perspective. So as you go
Send me.
as you like learn to be more kind of service to others, there's more joy in your life, and then life becomes kind of like an ongoing orgasm. Okay, Ed, and then Trevor.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I've had meditations where I've been like trying to, go up the chakras to higher whatever. And, I've just got to kind of frequencies, and literally, I've literally just felt like I was just in a constant orgasm, just floating, like this stupid look on my face, like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? How the hell has this happened from breathing exercises? Oh my God.
We've
Like,
had that.
I've had it so bad that I've got to get out of here. It's too much. But yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, been there,
Done
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I like to do a God gratitude practice where I just like say, thank you, God, and then that usually gets me into that state, where it's just like orgasmic bliss, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And it's like then it becomes very genuine. Oh, praise to the Lord. Okay, Trevor, go ahead.
I was looking for a real world case example of how dealing with catalysts and stuff like this can really accentuate your healing and extension of life. So using your capacity to process the unresolved traumas that you have around, say, a cancer diagnosis. It doesn't really matter what cancer that we're talking about, because it just happens to be one of those ones that's a very big magical one, and that's why I'm using it as an example. But most people, when they hit their cancer, I call it the merry-go-round, in the mainstream sort of processes of how we deal with these types of things, they get onto a treadmill of disempowerment. And what happens is they then hand all of their power over to other externalized forces, most of the time, in extreme amounts of quantity, right? But if we can begin to pull it back after resolving some of our catalysts around, say, our fear of debt, some family grief that we might be running away from, some sort of childhood trauma that made us feel insignificant and thus like we were a burden on our family our whole life, instead of a positive influence our whole life as a parent or a teacher, as somebody who is integrated and connected with it all, who had value and worth. Without this type of thing, then facing a diagnosis of cancer can be an absolutely terrifying experience, and one that requires the process of this trauma that's come up in order for one to then go through and experience what we would call feeling brave or courageous about how we are fronting up to our life and how we're going to deal with these experiences and catalysts that are now dropping on our lap as an opportunity. If we can get to that point, then what we have is huge amounts of amazing quantities of sources of evidence to support these things that are circulating around on TikTok now, talking about how in simple 60-second little clip video with text popping up, that way you don't even have to really think all that hard about it anymore. It's really cool in that way. It's so common that interleukin-2, which is produced by the hypothalamus, which is the most sophisticated pharmacy in the entire world. Like, this thing is what we've been talking about in terms of your whole being and your expression. What they call your emotions is usually associated with your hormones. Your hormones is something that most people think is uncontrolled, especially when it comes to, say, categorically monthly cycles or whatever. But all of this can be controlled by having some form of awareness. And the primary principal point of that awareness comes from a state of acceptance and gratitude, openness, to be able to deal with these things. And then all of a sudden, you're producing chemicals that cost thousands of dollars for an artificial course from externalized hospitals or externalized companies. And this is something you can do on demand, literally.
Are you saying like being aware? Are you saying being aware? Wait, can you guys hear me again? Because I can't hear me now. Okay. All right, okay. So when you're saying awareness, you're talking about awareness of what, like stuff that's going on so that it doesn't manifest into illness? Is that what you're saying?
That and everything else. So it's keeping in mind that you don't have to process everything. I'm not trying to make it sound like that's the only option out there. Okay, what I'm trying to do is reveal paths that have previously been relatively hidden, but everybody has the option to process a catalyst that they choose to process. If this is a catalyst that you choose to process, it could be from a past experience, it could be from a current circumstance that's taking place, it could be something that is manifesting as a disease or something that's waiting to manifest as a disease. So infinite amounts of different things.
No, I thought you were just talking about that specifically at that moment. So I was trying to inquire more deeper into it to understand. That's all.
Yeah.
I get now you're talking in general, so.
The generic full stop point I've got to add, of course, is to say, excuse my Australian, but this really is a fucking time to be alive. I tell you what, like, wow.
Seriously. Really.
Yeah, and Trevor, you bring up a good point. It's one of the most commonly cited, well, in the law of one, as in diseases, and they explain, as many other sources, that cancer is caused by holding on to resentment, and then many books explain that depending on where in the body is the cancer tells you what is the source of the resentment, and then using forgiveness work and releasing that resentment, which is you're processing that catalyst that hasn't been processed, you go into remission or you become cured.
It's true. I could tell you from personal experience. I've had ovarian cancer twice. I've definitely had that. My catalyst was my mother, my relationship with my mother. I mean, if I would have known this a lot sooner, though, damn it. No, but
yeah,
but it makes so much sense. And you got to understand, though, when I say I had cancer twice, I had it within 4 years, stage 3B, 3C, 2 types. And statistically, like, I should not be here. And I will tell you this, I did not do anything to help the process of me being here either in that time. So, and here I am.
Well, if you avoided the radiation therapy, you did do something.
You don't get radiation for that.
Okay. Oh, well,
but I did chemo, and I did do chemo for one. I still had my port. It was freaking every 3 weeks for a year. Shit was tough.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes, Michelle, absolutely.
Yeah, like my understanding is that those treatments are known to be ineffective, but they're expensive, and that's why they continue to push them. Okay, Ed.
You're muted, honey. He's muted.
Okay. Yeah.
He's trying to get his little button.
There you go. Sorry, it's so annoying. The buttons are so tiny. Yeah, to be fair, you guys covered large chunk of what I was going to say. I was going to say about how, like, Ra talks about kind of the self-healing and, how we cause these things to manifest ourselves by thinking certain ways and holding on to certain feelings, which kind of ties in with what Trevor was saying about how kind of hormones are the things that relate more to how our emotions are spread. I mean, don't get me wrong, the real perception of emotions is the same neurotransmitters in the brain. But if you think about thinking and thought moves along neurons, so it's very, very fast. Whereas emotions and kind of like the way that flows, you could say it's from your heart, but really it's because the emotions move through the bloodstream. They're hormones that are released from somewhere and spread out to cause an effect. So what you could say that they communicate just as clearly as neurons, but just a lot slower throughout the body. So, if we can do all of this controlling whatever way, emotions work more of that kind of full body thing, whereas thought would be more kind of precise, I suppose. Anyway, you guys were all talking about what you guys just chatted about anyway. What I do normally in any kind of healing situation, if I'm ill, if something hurts or whatever else, I do I imagine my body in the different densities. So, and initially I imagine my whole body as like the red energy of, the pranic energy form that I am. Then I imagine every single individual cell being its own individual life form, then, moving up, whatever. And then essentially, that I find the part of my body that's feels bad or is ill or whatever, and I imagine it's individual little life forms that are working together to make me, and I beam love at them, and I try to get them to play along and help and you know, heal rather than, you know, whatever's wrong with them, whatever's messing them up. And you know, I find that kind of way of just meditating on yourself as what you are and focusing on the different energy bodies that you have related to each density, right? Like, and you know, each chakra, you know, you can essentially communicate those things to your body anyway. So you know, whatever it is, and that ties in with, you know, the acceptance and the kind of all the things that we've been talking about. All those things are just the different means of communication to the you know, from the thoughts to the actual physical body that we are. The other thing I was going to say about is Mitch wrote a comment about how, like, you know, with between a lot of us, we've got all angles covered. Like, fully agree with that, Mitch, dude. And 100%, Rob, mate. This whole social memory complex thing we're creating is literally like it's like where I refuel and push out my weekly love. Like, honestly, I love you guys. Anyway, yeah, that was my few cents or whatever, pennies.
Thank you. Mitch?
So I may be conflating this with something else. Somebody please jump in, correct me if I'm wrong. But I seem to remember when Ra was talking about the nature of emotions, it was a way for the soul to kind of inform the physical body and inform our consciousness of things that it was trying to communicate that we so often overlook. And just thinking about how that ties into everything that's being said just kind of popped up in my mind and seemed important. I thought maybe somebody else could run with it, or just, you know, interesting thought.
Yeah, no, dude, I fully agree, because like that whole thing of like the higher self communicating with you, being like emotions, that's echoed in loads of other things. Like they say that emotions are kind of the language of the angels. So, you know, like when you interact with higher level or different vibrational entities, you know, it's an emotional communication rather than a thought one, you know. And I don't know whether anyone's astral projected ever, but like I had a huge life-changing conversation with my dead dad, you know, in the astral planes. And you know, it felt like I was there with him for hours, but the conversation wasn't the point. It was like we were communicating in emotion. It was like we were passing back concepts that were then being like replaced with like the emotional understanding and equivalence between the two of us. And you know, I woke up that morning and it is like I'd had like 10 months of therapy, like in that one single night. Like, anyway, sorry once again, love you all.
If you apologize one more time, I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna hang you upside down and shake you, take your lunch money.
I'll smack him first, Desiree. I'm tired of hearing it too. He needs to
I haven't got any lunch
apologize.
money. I eat like dandelions and stuff.
You drink dandelion wine?
No. I eat them, man. You can eat every part of a dandelion.
Oh, they're actually pretty good for
You can
you.
always eat them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Flowers in a cup of tea. Oh, so good. So yeah, no
Dandelions are
lunch
really
money.
good.
Sorry.
Well, I just wanted to confirm what Ed was saying. But basically, my experience with communicating with entities is that they communicate with holograms. So instead of a sentence made of sound vibrations, they give you a hologram, and may have images, it may have sounds, it may have feelings, or a combination thereof. And that's how the communication happens. All right, Fred?
First, Desiree had asked the question, what about controlling? What do you control? Technically, we really don't control anything, but what I was saying, it's a kind of a saying, where like I control if I take a drink or not, but I can't control whether the sun comes up or not. Why would I worry about it? You know, it just seems silly. Either one seems silly because, you know, you either do it or you don't, or you have control or you don't. And most things you don't have control over. But the other thing I wanted to say was, based off of what Mitch was talking about, it kind of made something click. In Old Testament times, thousands of years ago, that means that those people that lived 900 years, 800 years, 700 years, that technically, according to what Rob was saying, they process catalyst better or more, or I don't know, better or more
Or
more or better.
less.
I don't know. Or less. I don't know. But it seems like that tapered down, our lifespan got shorter and shorter. And now there's a sudden influx of people, huge flood of people right at the end of the third run of third density that we have going right now. That means that this is going to open up and the veil is going to be removed a little bit more as we go further and forth. That makes it, if you look at it on a graph, like I'm looking at it in my mind, I'm looking at it on a graph that would show me a bottleneck. And it would be like, do you ever go to the supermarket where they have, where one of those things you put the coins in and it goes around and around and around and around and around and around a circle. But if you dump a whole shit ton of coins in there, they all go and they go in their pattern until they get down to the very certain point in the middle. And then all of a sudden they just go and just fall down inside. It seems like what I'm seeing with density progression from third to fourth. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yeah, they're talking about it in the chat.
Yeah.
We can't read that.
Oh, okay.
It's too fast. I can't
did,
read it.
I did want to speak to some of the points you raised. So my understanding anyways, that early on, they were better at using Catalyst just because they didn't have as many preconceptions and like false ideas. And so they were just like naturally dealing with them very well. And also there was a much lower population density. And so the only other entities they had to deal with, the majority of them were either their close family or plants and animals. And so it wasn't a very difficult experience. And it was actually when the population rose to a point where there were multiple humans competing for the same area that bellicosity arose or violence. And then that led to the shortening of the lifetimes. For example, in kind of recent history, when the Spanish were invading South America, when the priests would arrive to a tribe, and then the tribe would be like, oh, well, we got this 200-year-old shaman here. And then the priest would be like, oh, yeah, okay. And then he would turn over to his guards and be like, that one, you got to kill that one. And then they killed the shaman. It's like, okay, now I am your spiritual leader, because they were like, that shaman was our spiritual leader. And he's like, but he couldn't deal with our bow and arrow. So... or a gun. The Romans they couldn't deal with a bullet. Anyways, okay, Robert.
Yes. Like what Fred was saying, how the bottleneck situation, that's how I'm seeing it also. And Desiree, this applies to something you and I chatted about recently too. The 2012 thingy. The probability vortex that we've heard mentioned so many times in raw contact, like a probability vortex. If you picture a funnel, it's wide at the top and narrows down. So the probability of something happening is less likely in the wider portion. And as it narrows down, the likelihood of something happening is greater because there's less variance right there. And we're approaching a bottleneck right now because the energy is shifting from all these things down to like a bottleneck or a singularity almost. Then it'll expand again into the fourth density. That's what it looks like to me. So what Fred was saying, I see that also. It's all these things just bottlenecking down, getting ready to spill out into a new world.
Just stay quiet 5 more seconds. I wanted to be.
Ed? Go ahead, Ed.
I hate the bloody on and off thing. So annoying. Yeah, like the whole bottleneck kind of like spirally. That's a great way of analogy for the spiraling thing. But if you think about it, like, we're all heading towards oneness, right? That's the point. We're all trying to get back to that place where we reconjoin with the creator, where everything is we are everything and everything is us, right? You know, so you know, that whole point of all of us being on that same kind of spiraling, getting closer and closer and closer and closer until we're all one thing. Yeah, it doesn't matter what past, what chaos you base the universe on. You know, the love aspect will bring all of it down that rabbit hole, spinning around at one point or another. You know, it's a beautiful system. Anyway. Mwah.
All right, Mitch.
You know, Robert, as you were talking about the probability vortices that Ra so often brings up, and you know, greater potential for any outcome up top and lesser, you know, more focus at the bottom. It wasn't really hitting me at first because I'm sitting there thinking, well, okay, but our time is very linear, so it can only follow that one path down. But then it hits me, you know, Ra talks so often about how our perception of living in space-time is the illusion, and the real nature of the universe of all of it is time-space. What we perceive as linear is circular and comes back around, and this whole concept of tomorrow is going to follow today isn't the reality of the universe. So it fits so well with what you were saying that, yeah, we can be up here and then go down here, but then be back up here, because that vortex isn't based upon our position in time as we see it, because our position in time isn't something that we can traverse in the way that is reflective reality. I don't know if any of that makes any sense to anybody, but it just kind of hit home for me.
Robert?
Oh, yeah. That's, I like it, Mitch. That's when you take the probability vortices and spin them, like you were saying, it's a spiral. If you picture the spiral, I'm trying to draw it on the screen there, going down like to a smaller point. Each one of these spirals has a vertical location that is similar. And so it's like the same event happening. Like in our life, you can experience the same catalyst, but you're learning it at different levels. Because you sometimes wonder why you're having to do the same shit all the time. Like, why am I having to deal with this again? I thought I did this. But you're doing it in a little more unique of a fashion at one time versus another time. It's on a different level of the spiral, but at the same vertical point. The way we're seeing it in space-time. That's how I'm picturing it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Robert. And I remember it said in the material that things do repeat like that sometimes, but every time it's a little bit different because you have at least the memory of the other times that it happened. And so the ideal is to process it and by polarizing in one of the directions. And for us, it's service to others. Okay, Ed.
And Quo is talking about those spirals. I've seen that in Quo channeling. So they talked about that, and I learned that decades ago in different occult material that they talk about it also. So both.
Just to say, spirals are actually kind of a major theme throughout, like most of these kind of creation epics, whichever, yeah, especially in the occult things. Like, seems like that's a really kind of major theme. That and the pendulum thing. Has anyone read the reality transserving stuff? No. Well, there's this bit that he talks about in that where it's basically like, when you think about the quantum probabilities of everything, yeah, everything can happen, everything will happen, you know, whatever. But what we perceive as reality is basically all of those probabilities being brought down to an actual thing, like the observer effect. You know, so like if you imagine everything not being existing until it's observed, yeah, by the quantum observer effect principle, then essentially you've got this kind of reality vortices matrix where, yeah, what ends up being creation changes on by the observer. Oh, sorry, it's all got a bit confusing. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Anyway,
Sounds good to me.
It made
Yeah.
sense. It did. It made sense.
Yeah.
it just you kind of relates. You can
Just
see the
something-
same thing where like where you what you perceive and what you create with reality. Because what Ra talks about is we are the creators, right? We're here as sub logos to actually create reality around us. And that idea that every single possible thing that can happen, and it's only really perception and consciousness that creates the direction in which it does.
Mm-hmm.
Making us the creators, right? Giving us the power to then essentially morph the world around how we want it to be. And the world that we're in, this horrible place with all the bellicosity and everything, that's because of the thing that that's what people have wanted to create, but they just didn't realize that they're the way that they think, and that wanting to have more and wanting to have greed and wanting to have control and power is essentially what has created everything. But once again, what gets a bit confusing. Love you guys.
Yeah, and I just want to say that spiral thing, Robert, you're totally right. Like that there's many neutral processes that spiral. Like for instance, each day is actually a tiny bit longer than the preceding day, as the days on Earth are slowly getting longer, since the rotation is just slowly slowing down. Like when they reached when they filled the Three Gorges Dam in China, I think it slowed down perceptibly, like by 3 microseconds or something like that. Okay, Trevor. You're up, Trevor. Okay.
Hey, so I'm going to take the opportunity to add a little bit of clarification about a couple of things, especially around how we interpret quantum mechanics. And it's not something that gets talked about a lot, but this can help clear up a little bit of confusion. And I'm more so talking to our collective subconscious here. But what we've got at the very first point in the Ra contact is Ra very specifically stating that what we are and find ourselves in is a thought. And at no point during the discourse between them, or as far as I'm aware, in Quo, Latwii, or any of the others, that there is any actual confirmation of what we would traditionally call physical matter. And as such, we can see then that it all is very much a combination of how we're going through it and what we're doing. Then we can process this even further by remembering the very salient points that he does bring up on a regular basis, like that of time, space, and space-time. And this is really convenient because the CIA and FBI have been researching this for a long time now, that we don't just have to go to Ra. We've actually got a whole bunch of real-world, scientific and acceptable occult and esoteric knowledge about these things. I don't just mean that occult and esoteric meaning common man or regular person sort of stuff. As it's not registered by some sort of authority, it gets a bit of a dangerous feel about it because it doesn't have that security of the stamp of approval by your centralized authority. But fourth density is the vibration of love and understanding. Third density is consciousness, awareness, consciousness of spirit. Fifth density, and moving up from there, is where we start to get into certainty and expression of absolute connection with it all. So at these points in time, what we've got to remember is that it's got nothing to do with finding a specific point. That is the method of movement forward if you're sort of choosing the service to self path, where you recognize that the single point is more important than the collective of points, because that's what we all are. It's a collection of points all come together as an expressive movement or momentum forward. The choice that we have between these densities and the choices then really, in our world, get told under the story of what we call physical matter. But physical matter is an expression of our senses. It is yet to be substantially and irrevocably proven in any field of study. So what this is again insinuating is that what it comes down to is how you're dealing with things, not what the things are. What the things are symptoms and expressions of how we're dealing with it. How we're dealing with it is the reality. And then we take that and then project it into these tiny parts of our brain, very compartmentalized, and then join them back together in a certain order or a certain pattern to create what we call a 3D external experience, a objective experience. A traditional method of looking at these things in psychology and this type of thing, philosophy, is objective and subjective. But there is no objective because it's irremovable from the subjective, as the objective is actually what we're experiencing inside of here. The subjective is much more accurately the standalone stimuli or the universe that exists by itself before we get to it. And this is centralized in the classical saying or the statement, you know, if a tree falls in the wood and there's nobody there to hear it, does it make a sound? Usually this is then interpreted into the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, that if you look at something, you collapse the wave potential. Don't be fooled. This is not how it works. That is suggestive that energy collapses into a state of matter. No, it doesn't. It collapses into a recognized, experienced potential as your experience. And that's you creating your reality. It's not the actual reality. We're experiencing the thought. We're dancing with the thought. We are the thought. But the thought is what it is. And we can't change that in its entirety. We can in our little experiences of it and feed back into it and thus give it the experience. And this is the collective general agreement, is that the reason why the whole thing is happening is for it to experience itself, for the creator to know itself and experience itself. And so everything that we do as we feed back is that creator or that experiencer, the eternal one, going, yes, I was waiting for that. Yes, I was, oh, that hurt. But yes, I was waiting for that. Thank you. And then as we process these catalysts, then our illusion of reality, our hologram, our holographic projection of reality becomes thusly more in tune and aligned and harmonious in order for us to keep going. Because the creator is going, well, this is a really good instrument. This is a really good instrument. I'm going to make sure that this remains in tune because it's playing a very coordinated song with the entire spectrum of the orchestra.
Oh, my bad.
So yeah, the Copenhagen interpretation is fantastic for trying to understand it, but don't be fooled into thinking that it actually collapses into physical matter, because that's still floating around somewhere yet to be grabbed a hold of in any regard. So
yeah, I know. I remember reading one of the descriptions that in fifth density, they're aware of not just the physical, but also all of the spiritual influences that occurred to a given person or given event at a period of time. And that's why it takes so long to, you have to get to fifth density before you can actually know what's going on for sure. Because fifth density entities are kind of these light beings that don't need a physical body, and so they can see all of the spirits and all of the energies that are involved in a particular process. Okay, Ed?
Yeah, I was just literally just going to say, the whole hermetic axiom of all is mind. The first rule of hermeticism. The whole idea that all being everything that's ever, all of it, everything everybody has ever thought, all of it is all just the thought of the creator. So all of our physical forms, all of our emotion, all of our consciousness, right? It comes back to that ancient Greek, Luke. I think it's Socrates, I can't remember. There's the one where the guy goes through this life and he has this crazy life, and then at the end of the book he wakes up and it was just a dream. He dies, the character dies, But then, you know, he wakes up and he was just a god having a dream to experience what life would be like to have that happen. And in a greater sense, that's what all life is for everybody, ever. Every existence, every single time, every consciousness is just us experiencing this reality for the dream of the God, where everything is just thoughts. We are, consciousness is, everything is. So it's all linked, and by thinking, we can influence all of it. This first rule of magic, really, since, like, you know, 20,000 years ago, if you believe the what's it called, the emerald tablets and stuff. But yeah, anyway, that was me.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention about the a little bit more about the session, because they talked a lot about the archetypes, and they said the archetypal mind in depth in order to arrive at the position of being able to become and experience archetypes at will. And so I found it interesting that they mentioned 22, so like the 12 signs and 10 planets and 22 tarot cards, and then like the 22 relations between that Jewish thing. And so that's just one of those points I wanted to emphasize, was the idea that, well, I like the tarot, but the idea is not, I know some people think of it as, oh, we're looking at these cards and then we're figuring out the correct interpretation of these cards. But that's not what it is. It's actually, you are figuring out when you are the magician, as Ed was saying, like, when you have like the idea, you know, when you are the potentiator, you know, when someone is telling you an idea and then you're like, yay or nay, you know, when you are the catalyst for someone else, you know, when you are like all of the archetypes, and when other people are these archetypes, and then knowing those archetypes can like help you through life is I guess the idea. But yeah, all right. Someone else, I know Israel, you haven't mentioned anything. Did you want to say something? No. Okay.
I was just going to jump in what you were saying, Andre.
Okay,
The whole like tarot and the archetypes, and, you know, the what he's talking about, those three separate things, you know, they all link into one another. They all say the same things, but they're very different ways of using it. You know, astrology is all just based on the planets, but you've got all of those same archetypal human characteristics inside the 12 signs and the planets. Yeah, the Sephiroth, the tree of life with the Hermetic axioms on it. Each one of those paths on the tree of life represent a different tarot card. Yeah, and each Sephiroth is a different planetary influence that's supposed to affect how our body works. So all of these things link up together. But what you know, what Ra's saying about how you're supposed to kind of learn to be the different archetypes. When you're looking at the tree of life, you know, in the magical sense, you're supposed to actually take on the energies of the planetary sphere and actually, you know, use that in your life and learn the lessons from that to become better. So once again, like Ross says, taking on those archetypes. You know, when there's, I don't know whether anyone's heard of BOTA. It's like an American version of the Golden Dawn kind of thing. But they have a whole process where basically
I'm part of them. Actually, I got all of that stuff, all their everything for the tarot. I got all of it. I'm actually a member of that. So if you guys look at it, BOTA.
Yeah. Okay. So like one of the things that they really kind of try to get across. I mean, I'm not a member. I've just read loads of the books. Is the kind of embodying the tarot card. Yeah. So essentially. You understand what that archetype is, but you actually try to take that into your person to actually live as it, and by taking on those powers from the card rather than it teaching you by or whatever else. The next step on that is essentially you embodying those energies, and then you taking them into yourself to become bigger and, you know, spiritually and whatever else, by understanding those archetypal parts of creation. Yeah, like, you know, those bits that's, you know, those little archetypal bits fit together, whether it's from like the you know, astrology, or whether it's from the tarot cards, or, you know, the tree of life with the Sephiroth, taking those energies on and understanding them gives you a much, much deeper understanding of the creator and creation itself. Like, it's kind of a lot of what I was taking from that whole bit of what I was talking about. Anyway, don't apologize.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask something really quick. They mentioned 3 aspects for understanding the archetypes, being the tarot, astrology, and if I remember correctly, they said the tree of life. What is that third thing? Is that the Boda, or is that something totally different?
Dude, that's okay. So it's Hermetics, essentially. Like, so the Hermetic tree of life is this pattern. Let me just. I got it bloody everywhere, man. Would be I can't find it right now.
You're as
though, right?
organized as me.
I know it won't be hard to find. It's just elusive.
Part of
Okay,
sacred
so-
geometry.
So that pattern there, yeah.
Commonly known as the Kabbalah.
Yeah, well, the Kabbalah is the study of it. The tree of life. It's basically a network that contains all the Sephiroths. Now the Kabbalah or the Kabbalah, it all comes from this Hermetic belief that is kind of like pre-Egypt, pre-Hebrew, pre-whatever, about how essentially all of those energies that's the path that you come down to get into Earth. Yeah, so you come down.
Is that
to
like
Earth.
the Sumerian? Is that what the Sumerians focused on?
Apparently there's hints of Hermeticism in every single human civilization because it came from the Emerald Tablets, which predate civilization. Apparently. But the whole point is that when you come down to Earth, you come down on a specific path. Yeah. Now, when you come down into your body, right, with the position of where all the planets are, the position of where the constellations are, the position of where every single other thing influence the path that you come down. Imagine it applying the distortions to your body as you go through this tree of life. Yeah. So when you imagine the tree of life, yeah, you come straight down here into your body. Boom. Oh yeah, I'm down here in fucking Melkaf down at the bottom. This bit's Earth. Yeah. And then by looking up, this bit here is like the moon. Yeah. And that bit there. And that's what they basically this bit here is what creates, say, the veil. Yeah. This like stops us from being able to see the rest. Yeah. But it also like focuses everything down into this so you can see it. Right. So, and then everything up here is basically all the spiritual bits. Yeah, this being like the God or the higher self or whatever, where you're coming from. And then the point is, when you come down, when you're born, you fire down here, and what all of these influences are on you as you come in comes out with the personality that you have at the bottom.
And that's what you get to pick on your pre-incarnate self.
This is it. So then you pick basically the trajectory into Earth. You go through all of those spherical influences in the cosmic thing that makes you who you are, and then that's what applies to kind of the distortions of personality away from oneness, and what like the magic part of it. A whole chunk of the process is trying to follow your way back up the tree to the divine at the top, right? Or follow the divine power coming down, like from the top. The way that Ra talks about, like energy in from both sides.
But so basically, what you're describing,
the Zohar as well. There's loads of other stuff. It's a huge field of study, Hermetics. So I don't know whether I've summed it up fully, but there's loads to it.
So it seems like we fell out of the tree, landed on our ass, looked up, and said, "Shit, I got to climb back up this thing and find the right branches to grab to get back up to the top."
Pretty much, yeah. And every part of human emotion is represented in one of the branches. Yeah, and every kind of experience that you can go through is represented by one of the paths. and all of the paths, all of the tarot, and all of the spheres and stuff. They're essentially the archetypes that Ra's talking about. The things that kind of, you know, you govern personality and govern who we are. So yeah, that's there's so much to it. It's not something you can really kind of just like, here you go, here's some ethics.
Cool. Robert, you were trying to show us something. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was.
You know, it didn't, I was wondering if I would even be able to share a screen. I don't know how this works. I've never done it.
Oh.
But can I experiment?
Are you logged in on your phone?
I'm not using
Or-
a phone. I have a laptop.
Oh, you're gonna use, well, you were putting your phone in there. That's why I was saying, I didn't know if you want to use your
It's
phone.
the same
So
image
yes,
on here,
I'm
but
going
want-
to,
It didn't
yes.
show up very well.
go ahead and hit share screen. You should be able to
See
do
what
it.
happens. Okay. Yeah, can you see that?
It's loading. Okay, yeah,
yep.
we can see it.
Yeah, this is the tarot version of the Sephira, the Kabbalistic view of it. With astrology, it's all three put together.
Oh, I like this.
They all are. This is it. It's all of them, right? So every tarot card has its own position on the tree of life. So like it shows on there. So you've got all the different tarot cards. But so you know, you can follow all of the different arcana, all the different things that human beings can do. Right. Essentially, the tarot is like the Hermetic Bible. Yeah, it gives you all of the different verses and all the different things that you need to learn to get your way up the tree. Yeah. And the influences that it has on you. Yeah, like it is basically astrology is it coming down. It's all the energies that are coming down onto you. Yeah, the tarot is basically the Bible that shows you how to get back up, and the tree is the structure that you've got to climb. But all three of them are all interlinked in every way. And also weirdly, because he was talking about it a couple of episodes ago, where he was talking about how the Hebrew alphabet has specific resonances that were given to us by Yahweh and all stuff like that. Right. Well, every single step on the tree of life has a different Hebrew letter as well. So all of the Hebrew letters represent mathematical terms. So Hermetics can then be investigated the same way, either via like mathematical inquiry or via language or via the psychology. Essentially, you can apply that tree of life to essentially anything, really. So yeah, it's a really cool concept. It's one of the things that they say is like the cornerstone of Western what's called a Western occult yoga, so or Aquarian yoga. Basically, this time of year, this year, we're coming into the age of Aquarius, right? You know, like this is quite a big turn to like time to be alive. Like Trevor was saying, it's incredible all this stuff happening now. You know, but they've been talking for a long time about the thing that's going to get us pushing forwards is this Western occult yoga, this principle of learning to live in a yogic way, as in like, as in every single action that you do being for God. You've got nothing to do with anything else. Every what is it? Yeah, Shadow Guru says like, yoga is not stretching. I do more yoga when I brush my teeth, because essentially every single act that you do in your life is the thing that should be yoga. And the whole idea is us getting everything together right now at this time and creating what we create now is going to be what changes the whole world. It's going to be what changes what raises the whole race upwards. And they say that, the little Hermetic tree of life is supposed to be one of the cornerstones of that whole forward moving, I don't know what you call it.
Can I jump in here sometime?
Yeah, please do. Please. I hate to stand there talking all the time. I much prefer it when people talk. Right? Okay. How about we've got a rule? Yeah. Right. When I'm
all right.
talking,
Let's
no
let
one has to
Robert
put their
say it
hand
now.
up. Yeah.
Because looking at this image I have on the screen for us, if you ignore that card on the bottom left, that's us, the fool, entering the scene. But just ignore that for a moment, and you notice that there's 3, 6, 9. There's 9 cards on the left, 3 columns. And then on the right, there's 3 columns of 9 cards.
And then a row of 3.
And then there's the central card, which is strength. But if you take those 9s and add the 2 cards that are in the middle column, the top and bottom one, that makes it 11. Yeah, you have an 11 and an 11. You have 11, 11 with the central card strength. That's where we're heading to. That's one of our goals in our evolution. That's what.
Well, that's
when peop-
Tippereth. So when you look at the tree of life,
Wait a
that's
minute, hold on.
that's the heart
When
chakra,
peop-
right?
When people talk about 1111, the magicalness of that number, this is what I see it as representative of. You have the left side of this as 111, the right-hand side of this as another 11. The left-hand side is when you're still experiencing catalyst, as it shows down here at the bottom. And then when you're converting all this catalyst into your experiences as strength, and then you're moving onward into a transformative place to go on the great way. So that's the 1111 connection. I just wanted to throw in there. But Desiree and Ed, when you're talking about tarot, there's supposedly controversy with the strength card in the middle, and on the far left, justice.
Yeah, their positions.
That the number 8 and 11 cards are switched on the black magic deck.
Yep, their positions. Mhm.
And
Actually,
this
didn't we
is
talk
sup-
about this, Trevor, once? Yep, that's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. So this supposedly is the white magic representation, where strength is in the middle and justice is on your left.
Okay,
Anyway,
but
so-
like,
I
when
want
the-
this
the
deck,
whole
damn
left-
it.
the whole-
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
left-right
Robert, can you
polarity-
tell us where we can get this deck?
Well,
Or
it's
what's it called?
It's copyrighted 1983 by, let's see.
So he's saying,
me-
get colored pencils, you're gonna be making your own damn deck.
Let me unblur my background.
Oh, I was wondering if we could get it on Amazon or something.
Well,
I
he's
don't know.
trying to,
Oh,
Yeah.
if it had a
It's the,
name,
let's-
we could look it
he's-
up.
The Tree of Life Tarot.
oh,
The tree
easy
of-
enough right there.
Tree of Life Tarot.
Yeah, but look at the box. Yeah, there we go.
This is an
Oh, there's
old
the
BS
box.
Where's,
Okay. Huh.
It's in German too. Kabbalistisches Tarot.
Well,
Tree of Life.
maybe you can post it in the group if you find the link, because I can't find it on Amazon. At least
It
not with
might
that
not
cover.
exist. Yeah, it might not exist.
I mean, if it's not on Amazon, it clearly doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
This-
gonna take a screenshot of this, or maybe you could
Yeah.
you could post the image in the group.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but this deck is 30 some years old and the copyright is 40 years, so. But
You
I'll-
can
yeah, I'll-
definitely buy it because I looked it up a couple of weeks ago and it was kind of like limited edition, you know, because it's so old. So it was quite expensive, but you can definitely still buy it.
you know what I suggest anyways, like make a copy of it and then just print it out and you can use card
Right.
paper and do it if a worst case scenario for your
Yeah.
practice.
Hmm.
And I could help you with
Traditionally, a
that,
magician's supposed to make their own.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what we had, yeah.
but don't be shitting on me.
I mean, this ain't 2 girls, 1 cup, okay? We're no one shitting on you.
But that's excellent advice. But I can help you all if you want. I could take a high resolution photo of each one of these.
Hmm.
Yeah,
and we
do
could
that.
We could share it amongst the group.
That sounds great. Yeah.
I'm breaking copyright laws, so I'm infringing upon free will.
That's all right. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Just don't post, I
You're
just want to
not
post it in the
breaking any
group, just send it to
copyright
people.
laws. If they're
Yeah.
copyrighted 40 years ago, you're good.
I know it's pretty darn far enough away. but I'll do that for you guys, all right?
Awesome. Thank you.
I don't know how to get back. There we go. Stop share. I'm gonna stop now.
Okay.
With
There we
what
go.
you said earlier on about the whole kind of white magic, black magic version, and the things being on
Switch it.
different sides.
Mhm.
Really, that we in the Hermetics, you can't think of the tree as being flat. You have to think about it in 4 dimensions. So it's actually like a crystal. Yeah, where you've got like, and depending on which direction you look at it, is what sides the poles will be. So if you're inside the crystal looking out, then the pillars will be on like white, black. But if you're outside looking in, then it'll be black, white.
Yeah.
So essentially that's how the whole kind of which pillar goes where depends on
Right.
how you're viewing the situation. Like,
And that's how I have trouble when you're manipulating something, and if you want to be doing clockwise magic, but then you have to discern whether are you moving the energy clockwise or should you be moving the object clockwise? And there's differences in some of these things.
relativity gets
Yeah.
weird, dude.
Yeah, yeah. But I wanted to also say this tarot deck is in direct contradiction to what Ra said tonight in our reading. Study one of the 3. And this is all 3 of them in one. And it's like a major FU. And it's like, that's not what I want. But
Well, you
I
know,
think he
it's
said
the
at
law of
least one.
So really, he was contradicting himself.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
keeping it
and
separate.
the Raw session was 1981 and the deck is 1983. So it's like pretty darn close to this.
Mhm.
Same time frame. There was some special energy coming in
Eh.
during the 80s, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Robert,
Sure.
it must be it's a gateway deck. It lets you choose which one you want
Yeah.
based on what you like better.
That's a good way of looking at it also. You're right. Yeah. Gateway deck. Your
All right.
first one's free.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if I do gateway deck. My mom told me not to. So
Yeah.
Just say no.
she's like, no.
Just say KNOW. Just say no.
Well, it's 10 o'clock, a little at 2 after 10.
Yeah.
If you guys
Robert.
are,
Want to close this out, Robert?
Yeah, okay. First of all, I would like to put it out there. If anyone else does feel inclined, they want to do a closing prayer, you're welcome to. This doesn't have to be me. I enjoy doing it, but it's not a thing that I need to do, but it's enjoyable. And if
Okay.
anyone feels like doing it, just speak up and you're welcome to also.
Oh, I just wanted to add one last thing before you do that.
Yes.
And it's because I shared it in the chat that there are because I know several people here have mentioned how they really like the group, and there are several other Law of One groups that you can join throughout the week on Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Saturdays, Sundays, and I posted the links. They're in the Law of One group now as well.
And there's
No matter what
various
group, they're not going to be as
meditation
good as you
groups.
guys.
There's
I
Law of
believe
One
that, and I
dating
have
sites.
faith in that. That's why I said, go ahead and post it.
Yeah. Well, it's some of the same people.
It's just nice to get more
I've seen Trevor. and-
insights and other, so it doesn't hurt to learn more.
You could do something every day. There's Law of One dating
Exactly.
sites. It's
What?
Really? What?
What?
Yeah,
Are you serious?
hey,
I
what?
saw some today. Yeah.
What?
You did, seriously?
That's new.
You
signed
I've
up?
never heard of that.
I did
Fucking
see
love
them,
I'm
yeah.
so done with dating sites.
Oh,
my
I'm so
God.
looking.
Yeah, but you haven't done the Law of One dating site.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
I
Yeah.
just saw that today.
Well, you're gonna have to post that in the group
Post
too.
link.
It sounds suspicious, though.
If there isn't one, I'm gonna make one and see how much money I can make.
Yeah.
To see how many people I could fool, It's a
Well, with
secret
the-
channeling on how this all works. In
I'm 10 steps ahead of all of you. I'm starting a law of one porn group, and there's gonna be no need for dating.
Air 5.
And we
God, I
We're
love
all
these guys.
one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Turns out to be the only dating site that promotes dating yourself.
That's it. Yeah, you're always dating yourself.
I can't get rid of this bitch. She annoys the shit out of me now. Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. All righty. Thank you, creator. You are wonderful in all of your various expressions of human and animal and inanimate object, as we call them, but we know they're still alive. Thank you for all these ways we communicate and be in touch with each other. We all love each other. We love you, creator. We wish, we don't wish. Don't use that word wish. Thank you.
Yeah, what he said.
What she said. It is only going to grow stronger and stronger with us. A crystalline shape is forming. It is of a beautiful nature that transmits light and love of all the appropriate colors for our growth. May our strength always be preserved. We are always safe and well. Thank you for being here tonight. I love you all. Let's go in peace, and we shall serve humanity. That is my choice. Good night.
I forgot one thing.
Go ahead.
So
Da-da-da-da.
thank you. I'm not closing it out until I'm done. Damn it. No, I'm kidding. Y'all are free to go. Okay, so Fred called me the other night. Do you want to just tell everybody? You can go ahead, Fred. No one wants to listen to
Me?
you talking. Yeah.
Talking to me?
Yes. Did you
Oh.
not want to?
Yeah, whatever group we can get together. Desiree and I were talking, and we decided that we want to actually physically meet up and hang out for maybe a weekend, 3-4 days, whatever we decide. Just a core central group of us that are like-minded. We're interested in the same things, and we want to learn from each other and come up with new ways to learn and share some experiences and just
Do
kinda
some
make a-
DMT, little CE5,
I-
connection.
we have a lot of different ideas for different things to do on different days, and if you want to talk about it, we can all, I guess, we concentrate on just DMing you and Desiree and me.
Yeah, and Ed, we're gonna make you come here. So we're
Yeah,
gonna make
Oh,
it
I would
happen.
love that. I was literally
We're-
going to say, like, I would love that so much, but there's no way I could afford a plane ticket considering I hate money.
Don't sell your card. Don't sell your
We're gonna
card.
come and kidnap
Yeah,
you. We're
we've
gonna have-
already. Don't you worry.
We're gonna kidnap you and have the Russian mafia
Stop being
smuggle
You
silly.
didn't
into
ask.
Mexican
You
border.
didn't ask. We
You're
didn't
gonna
say
have to find me a
nothing.
Stargate to use because
He
I
got
can't
one.
exactly leave.
I mean, a group trip to Australia would be pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
And
much
again,
is
we
that
need a
ticket?
guys-
Stargate. We need a Stargate for this to make it
$2,000.
cheap.
Ed is in the UK, just so you know.
We
Yeah.
know where Ed is. We already
Okay,
just
all right.
a couple
Yeah,
of us
yeah.
already discussed this.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and Trevor, Cherie, I don't know. That's a pretty far trek from Tasmania.
That's me.
I mean, that's,
and babies.
It's a
Yeah.
14-hour
But so
But,
then we'll just do a
um,
trip to them after that. Because
There
I'm
you
down
go.
in Australia all day,
I'm all
every
for
day.
that.
Our
So-
solution is just to get a Stargate so we can all pop in at one spot and then pop back out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because my situation, I can't exactly run away for 3 days. I take care of my mom. So
right. Well, we know that other people are gonna have different circumstances in that. We wanted to have plenty of time to prepare people that need to arrange, like if I had to leave for 3 days, I would have to arrange for somebody to take care of my dogs, my fish, my chinchilla, So
On a
Yeah.
unrelated
so-
note, is anybody making it out to L&L research gathering?
When is that? Where?
Oh, when's
Oh,
that?
wait, didn't
No.
I share that? That was,
Yeah, I think
oh,
you
I'm an
did.
idiot.
Yeah.
I'm the one who shared it. It's
That's
in my
in
inbox.
May. Isn't
I
it
forgot
in
about it.
May?
I'll go. I'm
Me
down.
too. I'll go.
We're like Alien Con, yes.
Yes.
And,
L&L
you know,
Research, okay.
they're in Kentucky. That's
But
not that far from you or me, or you, Desiree, or me, or quite a few of us. It's really close to us.
The Kentucky one was sold out within several minutes.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
I
think
was it?
believe it.
there's
Yeah.
another one that they're hosting that
Yeah, look.
there's bigger accommodation. I don't know if they've sold out yet.
We
But
could be in the
they-
group that crashes it.
Anything
But
See,
you-
thinking outside the box,
yeah, yeah.
guys. I like
And
where your
they're
mind's at.
looking for new
There
venues,
is
though.
no box, Desiree.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I mean,
Never
I got,
found a festival I couldn't bunk into, dude. Don't worry, I'll get us in.
where is it? And you know what? I totally believe him. Like he totally would get us in.
All the spoons in my kitchen just bent. Does anybody know what's happening with that? No box, no spoon. What's going on?
There is no spoon, dude.
Or fork.
No.
Yeah.
But
All right.
if all goes well and things go as planned and we get a date settled and everything, and we can have 3-4 days set aside for different things, just hanging out and just being outside. I mean, it's really nice that time of year, you know, summer and fall around here, northeastern Ohio. There'd be places for camping. There is, as Desiree asked me, is there hotels nearby? Is it within 15 minutes? There's Radisson. There's like 3 hotels that are really nice too. If
I'm
nobody
gonna
wants
be
to camp.
outside all night watching the stars because I'm
There-
trying to
if-
connect with everybody. So
Well, I'm telling you
all
what,
beans.
the tillable is rented to a dairy farm in the area, and I have 70 acres of alfalfa fields surrounding me. So the fireflies in the summer, or it's like a light show, and you can do. I have a laser pointer. You should play with them out in the field, and you make them all flash at one time. It's really awesome to see in the summertime.
That
But,
sounds like
um,
interference in my investigation.
Yeah, but
I don't know anymore.
it's really beautiful, and I, you know,
It's
don't
really just
mind
the
sharing.
opportunity, right? If we can't, if other people
Yeah.
can't go, you can't. I do plan on doing more of this anyways, and we can move it around. But I was already talking about it with the girls before anyways, and then he hit me up. So it's, if you can, great. If you can't, well, then we'll figure something out for next time. But yeah,
Right,
pretty much.
the opportunities there. I just throw it around, talk about it, see what. See what
And
you
we're
guys wanna
thinking
do.
August, because I'm not trying to die outside in heat, okay? There's like no coverage, by the way. I Google mapped, or yeah, Google Earthed him, that area. So there's like, it's all wide open, okay? And there's no water, so like August is when I'm gonna go, if I'm gonna go there.
I have a lake, but you
August
don't
is-
want to go swimming in the lake.
It's still gonna
It's a
be warm,
farm
but it's
lake.
not gonna be as hot as freaking July.
Oh, August is hot too.
It is. It's pretty hot
Mhm.
That's
Well,
the
maybe
end of
humid
August.
time.
in,
Hey,
in
real quick-
Ohio.
Good time to go.
Real quick, 'cause I know we're gonna have to close out fairly soon
Yeah.
here. Maybe it makes sense to make a second private invite only group to set stuff like this up, because this would not be a good thing to discuss publicly in a public.
Oh,
group.
no, we're just talking about, yeah,
Right,
but
I'm
we
saying-
knew that
It's being
today.
recorded though.
Right.
But
then
it's,
for the-
but here's the thing, I own the recording. I can cut things out, guys. Who do you
Yeah,
think
true,
does
true.
all that? It's
All
mine.
right,
I
all right.
got
I'm just
this.
saying, for the sake of planning though,
The
setting up
CIA.
something separate would be
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
cool.
Absolutely, you're right.
Damn.
It would
a
be
genius.
nice just to start small, get
Genius.
a few of us to want to get together, start it and see what we can do.
DMT.
Someone is supposed to be airing a podcast sometime soon, and maybe they can do a recording while we're doing this just for fun. See if we can throw that in there. You know, it's something else we can do. Northeast Ohio, there's not much to do unless you make it. So
You know
you
what?
know.
If it's gonna be that boring, everybody, you want to come to New York? I'll get a place in Adirondacks. Couple cabins on the lake. Okay,
So we're
next
gonna
time.
have to be really careful not to mix up Desiree's DMT Kool-Aid with the cyanide Kool-Aid, you know?
Oh, God.
No,
Y'all be wearing
No.
matching outfits, shoes and shit laying in bunk beds.
no
Oh,
Jane
man, that's
Jones
fucked
in
up.
it. No.
All right.
T-shirts
There'll be a
that say
comment
"I'm
going
with
by.
me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
guys.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
yeah, we'll leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite creator. Adonai.
Amen.
Oh, I love it.
Don't Love
Yeah,
you
say it
guys.
back. Love y'all.
Love you guys. Have a
And
great
thank
night.
you for coming for the first one here, even though we gave it. You are so red right now, and I don't know if it's you or my coloring on my freaking
No,
screen.
he's really.
No, I don't ever laugh this much. I'm turning red. It's been a
Oh,
great
perfect.
Friday.
Perfect. Good.
Okay. Good
All
night,
right.
guys.
Love you guys. Bye.